It is day one of the Arizona Trail. It's going to be my third National Scenic Trail, and I am actually really excited to be here. Usually I'm a little bit nervous on the first day, but it looked like I might not be able to do this trail at all this year, so the fact that I'm standing at the trailhead right now is really exciting. The Arizona Trail is approximately 800 miles from the Mexican border to the Utah border, straight up through Arizona. And I'm at a trailhead right now. I'm not actually at the Arizona border. So I'm not at the border yet. I actually have to take this trail, I'm at Montezuma Pass, all the way down to the Mexican border because you can't drive straight up to it. So it's only about 2 miles, which in the grand scheme of things is not so bad. I believe I've backtracked 2 miles just to get stuff I've dropped on the trail before. So here's the little sign. It says Arizona National Scenic Trail. And I have about 2 miles to the border. And there's a Coatimundi. That'd be cool if I could see one. I usually associate those guys with Central America. So on to the border in order to start my journey. And here we go. Officially heading northbound on the Arizona Trail. And to get here I just had to come down in elevation, and now I'm going right back up. And then I will keep going up because I think the border is at like 6,000 something feet, and we're gonna crest at close to 9,000 feet in about 8 miles. So heading up. I haven't been able to train for this like I would have liked to, so there's gonna be a lot of huffing and puffing in these first 8 miles. And I'm right back where I started. This is Montezuma Pass up here. You can see the road came in on from the town of Sierra Vista. I just passed another Arizona Trail hiker. Her name is Flyby. I expect I will see her as she comes back up from the border, and then possibly never again. I don't think you get a name like Flyby for being a slow hiker, but there's other hikers starting around this time, so that should be fun. I'm not alone out here on the trail, even though it's pretty late in the season for northbound hiking. We got about 5 more miles to Miller Peak, taking the Crest Trail, and then there's the little Arizona Trail symbol down here. Alright, let's go. Now entering Miller Peak Wilderness. Still not to the peak itself yet though. A little ways to go. Alright, this looks like the Miller Peak Trail Junction. There it is. Miller Peak. So this is the top of the climb from the border, which is back this way. These are views in Mexico. And you can kind of see, well, here they're all burned out, but we got to an elevation where there's some nice trees, and every once in a while there's good stretches of shade, and sometimes it's very fragrant with pine, and it's just been really nice. It's been high elevation, so I had to stop and, you know, get oxygen back, but it's been beautiful up here, and it's a little cooler. I think I'm actually going to take this trail. It's not part of the Arizona Trail, it's a detour, but I feel like I'm really close to the peak anyway, so might as well go do it. I don't know when I'm going to be in this area again, so might as well. So heading up to the peak itself. Look, there's some snow left. When I was supposed to start this trail, this entire area was covered in snow, and the trail, the Arizona Trail part itself, people had to cut the trail through the snow. There was so much snow, so it's almost all gone. Looks like it's all gone from the trail itself, and there's really tiny patches on the peak. So, oh, here's another tiny patch over here. So it's fortuitous that I'm doing this section late in the year with a late start, but I might be cursing that start at the lower elevations, but that's for another day. Right now, this is probably a much more pleasant experience than people who are coming through in early March. All right, this is the top of Miller Peak. looking back down into Mexico. So this is Mexico back here. And then over here we have Sierra Vista. And then these mountains over here are the mountains I'm going to be following north. And then we got west over here. So I'm at about 9,400 feet, and we'll be heading down from there. It looks like there's still some snow remaining after all, but it's like enough people have come through here that it has, you know, melted or stomped down a path on the trail itself. So no big deal. Not that I have microspikes, but no need to break out the microspikes. But hopefully this means the water sources are still running. So a couple snow patches in various size, and there's a couple deadfalls back there. One I had to crawl under. So I spoke too soon about the early season hikers stomping down the trail and making it easy. It looks like early season hikers cut the trail a little bit off the trail in this section. So right now the snow is melting, it's getting rotten. So you're basically walking through a very steep slope because it's not the actual flat trail. So I ended up having to kick some of my own steps a little higher on the trail, but I've seen a couple people post hole pretty far down on some of those steep slopes. So just FYI, this should melt off pretty soon, but still a little bit of a challenge. The grand scheme of thing, as far as snow travel, not that big of a challenge, but I would say a little bit of a challenge for the Arizona Trail. Isn't this a beautiful section to be walking through? I mean, it's not what most people think of when they think of Arizona, but I love the pine trees, I love the shade, I love the smell, and I love the quiet. And it's nice and quiet with the exception of some birds. And it's not steep anymore, which is nice. So I'm heading to the next, to the first water source. I'm going to grab water from on the trail, and that's a spring called Bathtub Spring. So that is up next. This is my first water source on the trail. It's about 10 miles in. It's called Bathtub Spring. Reasons are unknown as to why it's called Bathtub Spring. But I just filtered my water. I've been hanging out here with Walker and Spooky. You guys want to say hi? I'm down. Hey guys! Grab some lunch and gonna head forward from there. Looks like we got a couple other water sources coming up in a few miles. I got my first wrong turn. It was quite a distance of a wrong turn too. So that's Miller Peak. You can see the north facing slopes that still have snow that I moved through. Bathtub Spring is somewhere over here. Looks like there's a trail running down that way. But I just checked the GPS and I am off trail. I think I'm supposed to be over there somewhere. So heading back and seeing if I can get back on trail. This was a long detour. Okay, so this is the junction where I went wrong. I fully stepped over a log to take this trail to Car Peak when I was supposed to come up here. And I mean, there's a sign, and I was reading the sign and didn't really recognize the stuff on the sign, but there is an Arizona Trail logo here. So that was entirely my fault. And by the way, round trip, that was about a 2-mile detour. So back on the real trail, and I was just kind of an autopilot, and signs clearly didn't have my full attention, but I gotta start looking a little bit more carefully at the signs, because I'm gonna have done a lot of miles today. Probably not all of them will have been on the trail. I've currently hit a saddle, and you can see the sun is starting to get a little low in the sky. It's making everything look very beautiful. Yeah, turn around this way too. But that detour I took, the highly unnecessary detour, threw me off schedule a little bit. So I may not make it to my next water source before the last of the light disappears for the day. So we'll have to see what that's like. I might spend my first day on the trail hiking well into the night. Ooh, look at this now. Or I'll have to conserve my water and have a nice luxurious breakfast the next day. So just trying to make my way down the trail as best I can, and wherever I end up tonight is where I end up. Look, I'm actually paying attention this time. The trail I was on probably would have kept going that way, but there is a sign here that says Arizona Trail. Paying much closer attention to the signs right now. Made it down to Sunnyside Canyon, and you can see there's kind of light hitting the upper part of the canyon there. The sun is probably setting now, but this canyon has water. And according to other hikers, this might be the best spot to get the clear water, but they also noted that all throughout this canyon is great camping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here. It looks like there's a little path beaten. I'm going to grab some water, and then I'm going to walk until the light fades a little bit more and find a camping site. So it all worked out tonight. I have water, I have food, and I have a place to sleep, which are the 3 important things you need for hiking. So I found a place to camp for the night, but the light is getting really low. So I'm signing off for the night. So that was day 1, and we will see what day 2 throws at me tomorrow.